Torkonoo Holy Multi-Purpose Insecticide Spray. Ghana Kronkron. For bulk purchase, call 0302 681582. This advert is FDA approved.
Thank you for staying with us. This is Ghana Connect on Joy 99.7 FM. I won't talk much. I want you to listen to this. And then when we come back to the studio, I'll walk you through how exactly we are going to have this conversation. I want to hear every one of you possibly join us and help us shape up this conversation. On WhatsApp, it's 055 1111 997. Listen to this.
I have decided to make this statement today because the violations have not stopped. Indeed, they have escalated beyond anything I could have imagined as possible in justice delivery.
All day, and I said,
A defense to the charges.
Her Ladyship, the Chief Justice, all but insinuated that there was some political agenda at play to oust her.
Before you enter, there's a thorough search of my body and my handbag in violation of protocols and courtesies extended to any Chief Justice. It is hard not to reach the conclusion that the choice of venue against the backdrop of secrecy of proceedings is intended to intimidate.
So the impression that a facility in the vicinity of the Osu Castle necessarily makes it intimidating or foreboding is completely misplaced. It is unfair. It is not justifiable.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is this total absence of compliance with all known rules of fair hearing that has caused my lawyers to file applications for judicial review in the High Court to declare all the proceedings void.
All those who have commented on the matter, including the Ladyship of the Chief Justice, have been unable to point to any specific provision under Article 146 that the President has been in breach of.
Can you mean your me? I'm saying what me do yes. What my come and so don't me do yes.
I have also received threats and veiled threats to the effect that if I fail to resign or retire voluntarily, I will be made to suffer some harm or the other.
Closed to the public while the proceedings are ongoing. The committee can refer the person to the High Court for contempt.
The Constitution is being followed in the resetting. So if the judiciary was good when she was head, why does he think that the judiciary is not capable of undertaking this assignment of removing her?
This is why, despite great personal discomfort, I have decided to marshal every effort in law and leadership to answer to this situation. If I resign under these circumstances, I will be saying that this flawed unknown, and opaque process is acceptable. It is not.
Let me place on record, without fear of contradiction, and let me be clear that no such political agenda exists. His Excellency the President took an oath to which he was incidentally sworn by Her Ladyship the Chief Justice herself.
If home is where the heart is, then let's go home, shall we? Let's go where the entertainment is, where the passion is, where the laughter is, and sometimes even the tears too. Let's go where we feel safe enough to share our opinions.
And send tweets.
Where we do that embarrassing little dance to our favorite song. Let's go home where the love, the care, and the joy live.
There's no place like home. Connect your home to super fast internet with affordable data bundles from MTN Home. Visit broadband.mtn.com.ga or your My MTN app to sign up today. Everywhere you go.
M&C Group is a leading investment holding company with expertise in minerals and food commodity trading, precious minerals refinery, real estate development, and logistics and energy with individually registered companies. Our headquarters is located in Accra, Ghana, with operational offices in Dubai, UAE, Hong Kong, and Guangzhou in China, Johannesburg in South Africa, Virginia in the USA, and Milan, Italy. We connect business markets and drive growth. Trust us to maximize value in every deal. Call us on 0302-551-917 or 0302-551-918 or send us an email mncgroup@mncgroupgh.com. MNC Group, totally reliant.
Son, we are so proud of you for setting up this hospital. I really love those hospital beds and waiting chairs. By the way, did you import them?
No, Dad, I didn't. I actually got them from Kingdom Books and Stationery right here in Ghana.
Wow. We also bought our office supplies, safes, executive desks, and chairs from Kingdom, and they gave us expert advice on how to set up our office.
Guys, that makes 3 of us. I also got our sofa and bedroom sets, plus our dining hall furniture for our new home from Kingdom.
Wow, Mom, that makes 4 of us. I usually get my stationery items from Kingdom, and my teacher also mentioned that our classroom furniture was provided by Kingdom.
So there you have it. Whenever you're thinking about setting up an office or acquiring furniture for your home, etc., Kingdom Books and Stationery should be your first port of call. With over 40 years experience in the industry, we stock and supply a wide variety of globally sourced office and home furniture, stationery, and equipment. Visit our head office,
Takweje, Osu near the Osu Cemetery, Temania Community 4, Takoradi opposite Vijay Mays Plaza, Cape Coast University Bookshop, Spintex Road near Absa Bank, Atomic Centerpoint Mall, Winneba University Campus, KNUST, the University Bookshop, and Santasi in Kumasi. You can also visit our shop online, www.kingdomstoreonline.com. Hurry while stock lasts. For further inquiries, contact us on 050-162-0810 or 0302-764-101. Email info@kingdomgh.com. Kingdom Books and Stationery Limited, where quality and affordability is assured. Terms and conditions apply.
Cavity protection.
This advert is FDA approved.
Every mosquito study run away. Oh, come on, tonton preko. Sasso, mi se come tonton preko. Oh, come on, tonton preko. Sasso, come tonton preko. Nani sham ne die, demonstronko.
This advert is FDA approved.
Tonight, all eyes on Chief Justice Gertrude Iraba Isaba Torkonoo. Now, 48 hours ago, she addressed a rare televised statement. In her own words, she's being subjected to an unfair, opaque process. She describes the ongoing proceedings to probe allegations against and possibly recommend her removal as intimidating, lacking due process, and a threat to judicial independence. But this story definitely runs deeper than just one speech. Some say she's a victim of a broken constitutional system. That one gives too much power to political actors, in judicial appointments and removals. Others argue she's being just held accountable and should not be shielded from scrutiny. And then there are those who believe she's being vilified, made a scapegoat in an increasingly politicized climate. Which part of these arguments do you stand? I want to hear from you definitely. 055-1111-997. But I'll definitely not be doing this alone. With your help and some other guests that we managed to put together to help us expand on this conversation, and definitely I'll be introducing all of them up to you. Let's start from Zoom, where Rose Blankson, Assistant Registrar at the University of Cape Coast, is joining us. Rose, thank you very much for joining us. Can you hear me?
Good evening.
Rose, I can hear you, but
thank you very much for having me.
Fantastic. I'm grateful. Your network was much better in the last seconds of your greeting. Thank you for joining us. Also, I have with me right here in the studio David Kratos, Mr. Lawyer. David, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much, Michael.
Which one do you prefer, David or Kratos?
Any is fine.
Okay, sure. So I'll stick with David. Additionally, we have Kweku Dako Ankara. He's a historian. Kweku, thank you very much for joining us on Ghana Connect.
Thank you, bro.
Grateful. Also, I have with me, she's a nurse, and she goes by the name Marianne Enieje. Marianne?
Hello.
Thank you very much for connecting with us.
Thank you for having me here.
Great. So, where do I start? Ladies first? David, I'll let you choose. Ladies first, or we go the unconventional way?
Ladies first.
Okay, let's start with ladies first. Okay, let me start with Rose then. Rose, I mean, since all of this came up, I would just want to take your brief, emphasis on brief introduction on what you make of all of this that is going on. More especially about the modus operandi of the embattled Chief Justice.
Well, I wouldn't. First, let me say good evening to your cherished listeners, and I'm honored once again to be on this program. I wouldn't really want to talk about the modus operandi of the Chief Justice outside what the discourse has been over the period leading to her modus operandi. So however she's behaving herself, however she's out there releasing information either to is being claimed that she shouldn't have done, she calling press conferences and all that. These are as a result of actions that have been taken. So it's an effect of an action. And I think that given the situation she finds herself in, that's what she would do. I pity her though, but that's the way she would go. She needs to be heard. So, yes.
Grateful. Let me come to Marianne. Marianne, do you share the same sentiments that possibly she's justified? I mean, doing an unconventional thing, never heard of Chief Justice of a land addressing a news conference?
Yeah, so we are talking about issues of legalities. But then I being a nurse, I think that it's appropriate that the Chief Justice came out to speak because I've been following the issue for some time now, and I was wondering what she will be going through, thinking about her emotions, her psychological, her family, her social connections, and all that. It's just rumors. So it is just fair that she came out to also let the general public know what she is going through. And I think I sympathize with her and I agree 100% with her on the statements and whatever issues that he sought to be addressed. Thank you.
Grateful. David, yes. The ladies, at least from what we have heard so far, they think that given all that is happening, she possibly is justified to come out this way. Do you agree with them or you disagree?
So I agree with them partly.
Okay.
But you see, I think generally the reason we are at this point is there are certain matters which indeed cannot be brought into the court system. For example, she makes the arguments about the emotional trauma Edu Lodge brings her. That argument is not necessarily going to hold up in court. I mean, unless she's able to argue that it so disables her mentally such that she can't have the presence of mind to participate in the proceedings. But then at the same time, in her presser, she went on to express what many have described subsequently as if the Chief Justice does not have faith in the judiciary, then how can the normal citizenry have faith in the judiciary? And that's where I depart from her. I think she should have been more careful and more considerate given the position she's in. The courts are very important to our democracy, and we don't want a situation where the citizenry loses faith in the judicial system. I think that it's important that while she fights to vindicate her rights, it's important that she also fights to keep the stature of the judiciary, which she is actually duty bound to as a lawyer.
Interesting. I mean, David Gertrude is also a lawyer, so we should understand why he's doing the against and for at the same time. Let me also hear from Kweku. Kweku.
Yes.
I mean, you're a historian. Has this ever happened before?
Yeah. So from our historical antecedents, in 1963, when the case of Kulungugu, where Teria Adamafiu and others came in, what happened was that Akuko-san, who was then the Chief Justice, was sacked in 1963. This sack because the case didn't go on for the then president Nkrumah. As a result of some of the criticism that came out, there was a constitutional amendment in 1964, which is Constitution Amendment Act 1964, Act 224, Section 6C, which gave the president powers to sack justices of the Supreme Court with or without reason. And as a result, we saw Justice H. Kwesi Prempeh being sacked from the Supreme Court. So that is it. And then he brought in Justice Julius Sarkodie-Agbo. In 1966, after the coup, Julius Sarkodie-Agbo was also sacked by the NLC regime. And Justice Edward Akufo-Addo, who had been sacked in 1964, was brought back by this military regime, and he became the Chief Justice. When we went for the 1969 elections, Edward Akufo-Addo became the ceremonial president, and as a result, Justice Banama was appointed the Chief Justice. In 1972, when the Acheampong's government overthrew the Buzia's government, which is the Progress Party, the Supreme Court was suspended, and as a result, Justice Bannerman was also sacked. And in his place, Acheampong appointed Justice Samuel Azukrab. In 1978, there was a referendum of yes and no for unical government decision, where Justice Azukrab went to the University of Ghana and made certain comments, which Acheampong found it untoward. As a result, Justice Azukrab was sacked in 1978, and Justice Fred Kwesi Appalu was appointed. In 1979, we went for election, which is a third republic. The man became a president, and Fred Kwesi Appalu was accused of not being objective. And as a result, parliamentary no vote of confidence was activated, and as a result, the parliament voted that the then Chief Justice Kwesi Apalu has ought to leave his position. As a result, a lecturer at University of then called University of Science and Technology, UST now, Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, the late Dr. Angola Akufo-Addo went to court for the interpretation whether the sitting president and the parliament then can sack a Supreme Court judge. And in this case, the justices of the Supreme Court ruled that it is not right for the president to actually sack a certain chief justice. And as a result, this is what Justice Ian P. Sowa said. He said, by the majority decision in the Amakutufo's case, it has blunted and nipped in the bud the acts of the Lord High Executioners of the executive arm of government, who since independence had prematurely hacked and chopped off the professional necks of all the former chief justices, with the exception of Justice Apalu. So we see from there that after the Amakutufor case, then we believe that it has positioned the judges from being prevented unconstitutionally and indiscriminate act of government of sacking the justices they did not like, and also ensured strong democratization process and the victory for the concept of separation of power. That is what happened. So afterwards, there was something of element of some sort of questioning around the office of the CJ. That is why when this case came, many people think that, okay, we are reverting back to the past. But that is not the case, because we quite remember during Wallis's regime, Justice Kwabena Donko Aban, there was a case where he made a ruling where Buzia's speech was tendered, where page 29 didn't appear, of which lawyer Kemi Sabonsu also made a petition, and in so writing labeled the then CJ. When they went through the merit of his petition, nothing was found. So this is not a new thing.
Okay.
What I want to add is that judicial accountability is not a threat against judicial independence, because every organization, institutions are manned by humans, and there are bound to be certain infractions here and there. And when it happens, there is the need to investigate. Perhaps, even while the Chief Justice is even in suspension, it is possible that most of the accusations being leveled against here will come out as quite spurious.
Interesting.
So we should allow institutions of government and the constitutional acts and the processes that have been mandated to be followed through. Thank you.
Quite an introduction, but I guess that gives us a good foundation for the historical context. Things have happened for which possibly Chief Justice Gertrude Torkonoo is possibly even benefiting from this history that in other previous times possibly she would have been long gone, but she's probably going through a rigorous process. A process she's also again complaining about. But we are also being somebody is connecting with us, not somebody just anybody, but a good friend, Mo Salam Mandani, is connecting all the way from Serbia. He's an international policy and research assistant at the University of Belgrade. Mo, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much, Ni. It's a pleasure to always be here with you. It's been a long while.
Yes, very, very long while, Mo Salam. So, Mo, I mean, you've had the history, you had the point of David, who's here in the studio, you had Rose, and again, you have for Marianne. I mean, which side of the debate do you fall? Briefly, are you for her modus operandi, you against, or you think that at the end of the day, she's managed to win your sympathy?
Thank you very much, Papani. The issue is a very simple matter. The Constitution is very clear on matters of this nature. I don't know why we are playing politics with it. You see, the Chief Justice, her ladyship, made a lot of claims. But the point remains that the law is the law. in all the allegations, in all the people, of all the concerns that I've heard from media, from politicians, and from the opposition, even from the Ghana Bar Association concerning this matter, no one has actually mentioned or pointed to the specific issue that makes this process unfair. Almost all the challenges that have been raised are completely against the Constitution. We cannot just put the Constitution aside for our own whims and caprices. You may not like the provisions of the Constitution, but you cannot put it aside. Example, she made mention of the fact that her prosecution or her suspension is politically motivated. This was an unfortunate statement to have come from the CJ, her leadership. Why am I saying this? Because one, if you are not a politician, you should not put politics at the back of your mind. Okay, she's inviting the political side of the debate into question. And so if you want to treat others as pursuing you politically, it means that you've seen yourself as a political actor. And so that was very unfortunate. And like Kweku Daku said, judicial accountability, it is not a fight against judicial independence. We should be able to separate these issues. And so for me, in fact, what she even did was a clear violation of the Constitution, in the sense that the committee that's supposed to sit on her matter was supposed to happen in camera. It's not supposed to be public. But now she herself, she knows this. She's a CT of long standing in the bar and even at the bench. So for her to have come out to make these things public is a clear violation of the Constitution. And also,
I mean, specifically on that, I mean, she makes the point that these are not new points necessarily. The petitions, the 3 petitions were already public. Her responses are also public, plus her court proceedings, the final one she did before eventually the committee could sit fully. All of that, the supplementary affidavit
what I'm
all
saying
public.
is not what I'm saying is it is not about the substance of the matter, but with the declaration of the place the meeting was supposed to happen. You know, she has compromised the whole process. Let's assume that the people who sympathize with her must at that place come the day. What do you think is going to happen? What do you think other people who petition against her removal also have their supporters? Now, how are they going to hold that meeting? So she has violated the Constitution. It's supposed to be in camera. It's supposed to be in secret. No one is supposed to be aware of it. We are even talking about the petitions. Who leaked the petitions? That is also another conversation we can have. Who leaked it? The letter she wrote, the letter that was circulating, who leaked it? It was supposed to be from the petitioner and the president. Who leaked it? And so what I'm saying is very simple. The Constitution is very clear. Article 146 clause 6 is very clear. And let the law work. We may not like the law, but let the law work. There's a place and time you can challenge constitutional provisions. If you find them unfair, you go to the court.
Okay, all right. Because Kweku mentioned law and possibly that this what is happening is just law. At least she's even benefited from a better jurisdiction than her predecessors. Some of them. Kweku, you share the argument because you made partially that. I mean, if it comes to the law, that the law should rule over everything that is happening. You think that it should happen? You should go ahead as it is happening. No, not Kweku.
Yes,
I mean David.
Hello.
Kweku, apologies. I meant David. I'll come back to you. I'll give you the next step. Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so to the extent the committee is sitting, yes, that's the procedure that ought to be followed. Article 146 expressly says that it is only the procedure in Article 146 that can be used to remove a justice of the Superior Court. So to that extent, yes. But the Chief Justice has raised certain pertinent questions in the media, in her presser. She talked about the procedure being used to handle it. Now, largely, Article 146 doesn't tell the Commission what procedure it should use. She highlights the fact that there is supposed to be some inquiry conducted. And so because of that, it should be treated like a commission of inquiry. Yes. Now, for me, to those arguments, I think in the committee doing its work, it has to be mindful of 2 things. One, the Chief Justice's right to a fair hearing. And secondly, the fact that the committee itself, the commission itself, is also answerable to the Constitution. And so somebody can allege that something the commission is doing is wrong, and because of that, mount a constitutional action. Now, from the way we are hearing things are proceeding, it's almost as if this is some kind of procedure which, according to the Chief Justice, of course, we've not heard from the other side, which has not really been used before. We don't know what kind of a record is being kept. We don't know how things are moving, and it makes it difficult for an entity which should come and say later on inquire into the matter. It will be difficult for them to do that because they've not followed a certain laid down procedure and things aren't so clear. So I think that the committee must necessarily move on with its work, but in doing so, it has to be very mindful, especially of the Chief Justice's right to a fair hearing. It must do everything to ensure she's been accorded it. It must do everything to make sure that she's been, she can't say that she's not being heard. And I mean, what does it take away from them in the end if she's given every opportunity to defend herself? And at the end of the day, they would make a determination and recommend to the president whether or not she has violated Article 146, for which she can no longer be Chief Justice.
All right. Let me come to Rose. Rose, there are many that think that although that's the law, there must be some human face and some consideration to some extent. That beyond the hard facts of the law and procedure and the loopholes and the opportunity to do whatever you can do through whatever process that is available to you. I mean, possibly that this is not just anybody at all we are talking about. We are talking about the Chief Justice here again. That whatever happens to this process becomes law. Do we have Rose?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, so indeed, whatever happens to this process becomes law. But we've as was presented earlier, there have been preambles, there have been precedences that have been set. And the Chief Justice, Gertrude Torkonoo, keeps talking about the fact that her procedure is different from what has happened in the past. Indeed, she talks about her removal or attempt to remove her as being politically motivated. I have always said that I wouldn't want to go into whether the government in power is justified in trying to remove her, whatever the petitions say, what the petitioners have said in the petitions given or sent to the president, and all the actions I'm taking. I see this as a demotivation to the young girl out there. And that has always been my message. Yes, let's all know
you don't think
the crime
she's
that
intentionally
is
trying to court the sympathy of Ghanaians? I mean, she makes some points. One, she talks about how she's being searched. I mean, if you're entering a security zone, definitely you need to be subjected to some
yes,
thorough,
she has a right
thorough
to
search.
appeal to the court. She has that right to appeal to the.
Hello, Rose. You seem to be breaking up. Wow, we'll try to work that. Do I have Marianne though?
Yeah, here, Marianne here.
Okay, great, Marianne. So, what do you make of those who think that she's just forcing sympathy on her? That she just go through the mail and whatever comes out, she'll just, I mean, either appeal or accept whatever decision comes out of this process.
So yes, if she speaks, she has the right to do so. Come again.
Yes. Okay, Rose, I lost you momentarily, so if you can finish that point you were making for me. Wow. Rose, I think that the network really isn't helping. As Professor, we'll have to try phone. But Marianne, you can take a bite of that question.
Yeah, so I don't think what she's trying to do is to seek the public sympathy. And if even that's what she sought to do, I think it's not bad, because she being a Ghanaian, I think it should be a concern to all Ghanaians that whatever process that she is subjected to in this issue, it's what is going to form as law, like Rose mentioned. So there has to be that fairness. The procedures must to be such that the little girl can even explain in the normal language, we should understand what is going on, because in the end, when NDC leaves power and MPP comes, does it mean that they are also going to change the Chief Justice? Then is that the instability we are calling for? So I believe that the thing has to be done and the due process has to be followed. And so she's not seeking public sympathy. I think that every Ghanaian should be very concerned about this issue, since it has the future at stake.
What about what you're trying to get, Rose? What about the point where she makes that, if she walks out, possibly she may lose her entitlement and benefits?
Yeah, she mentioned that she's worked all her life. She isn't a nurse, she doesn't have any profession. So she's a dedicated lawyer. She's raising to the Chief Justice. So if she was to be your mother, I'm talking like an ordinary Ghanaian, I don't know the law, and they are scraping her of everything, you forcing her to resign, does it mean that all that the claims or the accusation that you are accusing her of, you want her to accept it and just resign? Then what history? The historians are here. So what history are we living for those who come after us? So the due process has to be followed. And if she has to be removed, then we know that this is what the Chief Justice did. And she wasn't able to defend herself, and she needs to be removed. Then Ghanaian would say that yes, we've understood why she was removed. So it's unprecedented, and that the due process has to be followed. She doesn't have to resign. She has to actually defend herself for the right thing to be done.
Great.
We first heard about it in public. I heard about it on Facebook. I saw that the Chief Justice was going to be removed. So I don't see anything wrong if she comes out after this long while that she's kept quiet, and she thinks that behind the scenes, you and I, we are not there, and we don't know what she's going through, and we don't know the threats that she's been subjected to, and that she's human. Aside being a Chief Justice, we should remember that she's human, not only biological. She's a physical, she's a emotional, she's a psychological, she's a spiritual human, and that she has to respond in that manner. So I'm talking as an ordinary Ghanaian without a law background. So that's my common sense I wish to bring to the table.
Grateful. Rose is back. Rose, yes. So do you think she's forcing the public sympathy?
Well, I don't think it is a forced public sympathy. She deserves it. She has a right to that sympathy, whatever that will be called. She is human, as Miriam has said earlier. She has loved ones, she has family, she has relatives, she has children, grandchildren, and social connections. She's worked so hard all her life. Honestly, I have always said that this can, disturb us young women growing up, trying to be, responsible, act responsibly, aspire to great heights and all of that. So if she feels she wants to express herself and let people hear her, so be it. She's a human being. Apart from she being the Chief Justice, she's a human being as all of us are. Apart from her going through the ranks to get to that level, she is just like any of us. When she gets home, she becomes just like us. And so if she's speaking, if she's airing her frustration, I have appealed to the president in one breath. I held a press conference with concerned women in the central region. And mine was an appeal to the president that if we can allow this woman to complete her tenure, it should be done, rather than pushing her out and forcing her to forfeit all that she has worked for all her life. It's an appeal. And this appeal can also encourage, depending on how we handle this case, it would either encourage or discourage women from aspiring to greatness. Honestly. It was so beautiful the day she was swearing in the president and then the vice president. Two Wesley girls, high school girls, hugging each other. I am not a gay girl anyway, let me put that caveat there. But I admired everything, the beauty, the communication, the bond. It was touching.
Rose, I've just done the calculation. She's, I think, 62 now, and she has to serve until she's 70, and that will be 8 years. That will possibly last the entire lifespan if this 8-year cycle continues. The entire lifespan
really
of the
matter?
NDC.
Doesn't really matter. That is the law. The law says she can serve till she's 70 years. And so she's 62. So is it because she has so long to serve? And some people, and I am hazarding going into politics. Some political parties feel she will serve through their term if they are giving the 8 years that Ghanaians usually do. So it's the her being forced out is intentional.
Rose,
so
I can't answer that question.
Will come. Exactly. It's a rhetorical question.
Certainly. So
I don't expect
but let me ask you, Kweku, how much change will this bring to our history as a country? I mean, for all the examples you gave us in the beginning or in the introduction, it painted an impression that, well, these people didn't have the process she's going through. Possibly what she's going through will help to strengthen the existing processes and make it possibly a bit more difficult to remove subsequent Chief Justice, depending on how this goes.
So first and foremost, I must say, sometimes in this country, the way we trivialize a very important debate with emotions and some sort of sentimental appeal. You're talking about issues of constitutionality and legality. And it is bordered on a more serious appeal rather than the rendition of somebody as a child or not. You are talking about something where integrity and people's trust in a legal system and how that legal system produces that sort of justiciability every individual wants to. The view being that the court is the last resort of every human being. And so therefore, anything that is done to erode the fundamental confidence in that institution must be done to ensure that it doesn't happen. That is very critical. So the issue here is about certain constitutional infractions which some people think it has been committed. And per law, they have passed through the laid-down procedures by petitioning the right authority for it to be interrogated. It doesn't mean when they give you a public office, it is in perpetuity. If it is in perpetuity, then you do things in tandem with the principles, the ethics, and the way things are done. So at the end of the day, people must note that, for instance, imagine the other former Chief Justices I talked about. Kosa, for instance, was our first Ghanaian Chief Justice. He was even a Chief Justice from 1956. Before Ghana would become independent, he was a Chief Justice. Yet when he was sacked in 1963, he was put in house arrest under the suspicion that he was engaging in coup d'etat with Ameni and others, including Ametewe's case. He was put under house arrest until Nkrumah's overthrow in 1966, something which Justice Torkonoo had never had a little taste of. Let's go back to Justice Kwesi Aparu, somebody who was in office and the whole parliament in the country, the whole parliament.
Kweku, I get the impression that you think that she's getting it softer and should endure.
I'm telling you that those people before him, if they have had this of opportunity, they would have thanked their stars, because it wasn't like just get out of office, no explanation, no opportunity is given to you. Then there is another critical point. One thing that to make people believe in institutions of government and the law we practice is of common law tradition. And the conventions around the common law tradition is that if you are a judge and you make judgment or pronouncements in the court, The public can do whatever they want to do with it, critique you in academic journals, critique you in the radio station, critique you even in the public. But you, the judge, you have no right to condescend to the streets, to condescend to the radio station, to condescend into classrooms to fight people or try to explain why you reach that sort of judgment. If we do so, then we turn the legal system, the landscape, into a political space. And every Tommy, Harry, or Dick will come in with their political, opinionated ideas and then undermine good discourses, which is of specific legal tradition that goes with specific training. So what if you look at all the examples I gave you, even Kwasa, when he was put in arrest, he never organized, and I repeat, he never organized press conference because he knows the fundamental principles around the justice delivery system. Is that even when you make your judgment, you are not supposed to go to public. If a judge make ruling and somebody says, oh, he didn't do well, and tomorrow you go and mount press conference, do you know how it affects the respectability of the bench? Who will respect in the bench? This is why justices or the judges are not allowed in any legal jurisdiction. And I don't know any country where a judge makes a judgment and then she goes. Why is it even important? If you note one thing that he went to say, that no matter what you do or no matter what you say, the law is the law. Imagine if she has not got up there and go and speak about something she has made judgment by making these famous statements. Will it be used against her today? That is why the framers of the common law from the British tradition, where it came from, made it fundamentally clear that as a judge, if you are a carpenter and you do somebody's coffin and they are saying so and so, you can come and talk. If you are a university professor, you go and stand somewhere, you say something, somebody is challenging on radio, that is different. If you are a nurse, you didn't take care of somebody very well and he's saying it on radio, it is up to you to defend, but not a judge. So people should understand the clear difference because justice is done at the court. So any infraction, any unfairness, if you want to rectify it, the court still remains the last conscience of our society.
Interesting.
And that is how we can do very well to protect its integrity. Because we cannot afford a system where a judge makes a pronouncement. Then when people challenge it, then tomorrow he's on radio, he's doing press conference. Then what kind of people are we? We have destroyed every state institution and the manner things are done. And we are now trying to erode that into the court. It's not a political classroom. It's a political space. It is a space where fundamental human rights, if it is straight upon you, go. And the Chief Justice knows this. That is why she should be the last person to engage in press conferences and rather to tell us in the public that she believes in the legal system.
All right.
So
apologies for cutting in there, but we're running very much out of time. I like the tangent in the way you are going, and certainly Danny also wants a bite of that. I'll give you, and Mo Salam, I'll definitely come to you, but I'll come to everybody right after this. What do you think the way forward should be? Again, definitely you cannot rule out that she's also made some legitimate complaints that possibly are things that we can just afford, allow the process to go through and end so that everybody can benefit from this process. We'll be right back right after this. Collins Frimpong is right here in the studio with all the messages you've been joining us with from our WhatsApp console. And the game also put out a poll, right, Collins?
Yes. So we put out a poll asking three questions, and the first question was yes, if you sympathize with her, that's Gertrude Arabasaki, that's the suspended Chief Justice. And also the second question is no, I wasn't moved. We are referring to the press conference that she had on Wednesday. And the last one is still undecided. If you are undecided about the question that we are asking, that did the Chief Justice win your sympathy after her national address? So we've had about 667 people taking part in this particular poll, and with the first question, if you are being moved with what she did, 12% of the 667% believe that yes, they are actually moved, and she caught their sympathy. And also 81% out of the 667 believe that no, they weren't moved at all by what she did. And the last people who are undecided, 7% out of the 667 people. And also, we've received messages on WhatsApp from people sharing their views on this particular one. This is from Sami in Kumasi. He says that those included the suspended Chief Justice who have been crying foul play that the President Mahama has breached the Constitution by setting up a committee to hear the case. Can they mention which of the constitutional provisions that were breached? So that's the first one. And also, this is from Nana Spinter. It says that, guys, please remind us, was the removal of Charlotte Osei by the previous government politically motivated? It is interesting how the Chief Justice feels about her own colleagues on the bench. And this one, last one, then I'll take a leave of you, Papa. Okay. He say that what is really going on with the suspended Chief Justice, Madam Gertrude Torkonoo, and why has she refused to resign voluntarily? So this is from Anloga Lashib. This is from he didn't add his name. Right, sure. Courage. Yes.
Thank you very much. Just two more here, and this one didn't give us his name. He says, please tell the historian to calm down. It's just a debate. And then this one as well says that, well, it's intriguing to hear Rose talk about sentiment rather than law. So whilst you're trying to wrap up, we just have about 4 minutes. I have 5 guests. It means that we have to share 45 seconds for everybody. I think I'm being fair. Let me start from Mo Salam. Mo Salam, you've had all the argument. I mean, going forward, I definitely you've also given us your position on all of this. Going forward, how should she and the committee also, handle all of these issues so that at least history, we don't look back sometime and say that we were wrong with something or we're high-handed on another?
All right, thank you very much. There's something I need to say.
45 seconds. 45 seconds. If you can do
it is with regard to the poll that you are running currently. My question is, what will sympathy do to help her case? The poll you are running is moot. There's nothing that sympathy can do to help her case. Whether people sympathize with her or not, the law is going to take its course. That aside, what I would want to say is that, look, moving forward, the Chief Justice, her leadership, knows the law. She should comport herself. She should believe in the system that she has been part of for the past 50 years that she has spent at the bar and at the bench collectively. She should have trust in the system. She should tell people that I trust in the system and the system must work.
All right.
And also about the processes of the committee.
For the sake of time, I know you are friend to the show. Next week,
let me just finish in 10 seconds.
I beg you, 2 seconds. 2.
Okay. I believe in the systems.
2 seconds is over. Let me end in the studio. David.
Okay, so what I would say is I think what's happening is a testament, or it gives the Constitutional Review Committee a clear path on the kind of things and the kind of issues Ghanaians expect them to act on. In the studio, we've seen the various shades of arguments, we've seen where people stand, we've seen the emotions, etc. Now the Constitutional Review Committee has to take all this up and then give us a new Article 146 that we can all get behind so that we don't have this murky situation anymore.
David, if you think that this is a good opportunity to expand the Constitution, look more and make it more expansive. Rose, are you on?
Yes.
10 seconds.
Yes, so I think that Gertrude Arabasaki Torkonoo has the right to express herself, what makes her happy, what makes her feel better in the situation she finds herself. She should go ahead. Just like any human being, she has our support, she has our blessing. May the Lord of the nation stand true, and may Ghana forever be at peace.
Thank you. Marianne, 10 seconds.
Yeah.
What should she do?
Yes. So I think that this process is unprecedented and that the due process has to be followed for the future. And also, she shouldn't be forced to resign. We have to hear from her. There has to be fairness and justice. And I don't think she misconducted herself by coming to the public domain. She had a right for us to hear her sentiments, and that's her right.
Kweku, final one. 5 seconds.
Yeah, so I agree that nobody should force her to resign. Nobody should do anything untoward because she has that right. However, like the lawyer in your studio said, this is the first time that Article 1 operationality has been triggered.
Okay.
And when things of precedent is triggered, there are bound to be different interpretation. So even if the new constitutional review comes with a clear-cut 146 a new article, when such issues happen and it's also triggered, people are also going to raise questions as to how the procedure should be.
Thank you very much, Kweku. Sadly, time is not our friend today, but I'm grateful for all of you for joining us. Mo Salam and Danny all the way from Serbia, Rose Blankson from UCC, David Kratos, Kweku Dako Ankara, you are a historian, and then Marian Ineji Shisanes. I'm grateful for all of that. That is a wrap on Ghana Connect. Thank you for joining. My name is Michael Asharley. Up next is The Library with nobody else but Andy Dusty. It's a must-listen show, and don't go